Hi guys, welcome back to Your Watches. Today I'm going to be going over kind of the tools and accessories that I use as a watch collector. Now for most people, they just buy one watch, they keep it on the strap or on the bracelet, they don't resize the bracelet, they don't change the strap. As collectors, we tend to do a little bit more with our watches. So I'm going to kind of list off the things I personally use and I find useful. I'm going to give kind of mini reviews on each of them, so you guys can kind of make a judgment and maybe pick out some of these things that you might want to get yourself. Now my kind of mini toolkit is fairly minimal. I rarely find myself like needing anything else. There are a few things at the end I'll mention that I want to buy or want to kind of upgrade. I'll get to that at that point. So the first item I think are a necessity for watch enthusiasts is a spring bar tool. Unless you intend to never change a strap and never resize a bracelet, you're going to need one of these. And I think it's definitely worth investing in a good one to make sure you don't damage your watch, because you can really scratch up the lugs if you have a poor quality tool. So I took the relatively affordable route, but made sure I got a really good tool. I got the Bergen 6767. This only costs about £12 on eBay, and it's just machined beautifully. The main body has these really great knurled sections right where you naturally grip, which helps you apply pressure without slipping. And the fork and knuckle tools are removable, as they just unscrew from the main body. They cost a few pounds to replace, so if you ever damage them or they just wear down, your tool isn't completely written off. So the second tool here is a loop. A loop's a great tool to have, especially when buying a watch. It can help you inspect fine details and check for defects or signs of underlying issues, like water damage. I spent ages looking for a nice metal loop. I considered trying to get my hands on like a branded one. I looked at some really fancy ones from the likes of Odinky, but eventually a friend of mine recommended the Bergen 2611-N. Now this does have a plastic casing, which I initially wasn't thrilled about, but at the cost of about £15, that's totally fine. And honestly, plastic feels great, and the build quality is just up there. So it's a really solid tool. It has a great function of a removable lens, which you can access by unscrewing the bezel. Very satisfying, feels great, really well machined, just like the spring bar tool. This is really useful for cleaning the loop if some dust gets on the lens. The specs of these vary, but just reference, I use the 1.5 version, which I find to be very useful and quite easy to use. I think this refers to focal length, so 1.5 inches from the lens seems to be where it focuses, but I'm not an expert on optics. So occasionally I need other tools, which aren't necessarily just for watches, but can come in handy. First up, I have a pretty basic set of screwdrivers. They're only about £15 from Amazon and are pretty decent for what they are. If you want to go into watch modding and stuff, I think it's a good starting set. But if you want to get serious, you can get much nicer screwdrivers, which cost way more. I also have two cheap caseback openers from a kit. The yellow one is pretty good. The other one I'm planning to upgrade, and I'll talk about that at the end. So for storage, I tend to store my watches in these nice leather trays, often with other stuff that I might need easy access to, like my keys or multi-tool. These are great because they're rigid enough once folded that you can kind of lift them and slide your watch about if you need to use the surface. I do this a lot, as where I kind of store my watches is actually where I take my watch photos, because it's next to a window and has the best lighting. Mine are kind of generic ones from Amazon. But as they don't really go through much wear and tear, the cheap leather isn't an issue and they're holding up fine. And obviously I don't carry a tray of watches around me when I leave the house with more than just one watch on. So my first purchase to allow me to carry more watches was this watch pouch from Perpetual Watch Lover, who we did our giveaway with the other week. I don't use it super often. A simple pouch like this is great for carrying one watch, generally on a strap, and this is generally my Tudor Oyster. To allow me to transport my whole collection, or just I think about 6 watches, I have this simple canvas watch roll. I went for this material as I figured it would feel more premium than the cheap leather options, and at its really low price point, I think I made the right move. Okay, so this final section of items I own is maintenance items. I only really own 2 here, and one of them is a cleaning cloth, which I expect most people will just have. But the other one that I highly recommend, especially for a lot of acrylic watches, is acrylic polish. Like many people, I initially bought Polywatch because it was recommended by loads of people, and it does come in a handy little tube, which I'm a fan of. If you actually want a lot of it to use over time, you might as well just buy some glass polish in a bigger kind of generic thing like this. It'll save you a bit of money, and it just does the job just as well. So I still take my Polywatch as like a travel size thing, but generally I use this bigger tub. Okay, so even though the stuff I've listed so far rarely leaves me needing anything else, there are a few things I want to upgrade and kind of add to my current kit. First up is a good Caseback opener, as I mentioned. I'm hoping to get a better one, however, the one Virginal makes is called the Jaxa, and it's about £200. I've seen them a bit cheaper on eBay, but generally around £200, which is way more than I'm willing to pay and it's sensible to pay for the amount I'll actually use it. The second thing I'm considering is a strap case. I'm starting to accumulate more straps, and I think it'd just be really useful to have them in one place instead of in a drawer or in a box. And I could also put my spring bar tool in there and my spare spring bars, and it would just make my life a lot more kind of organised and easier. Okay, there you have all the kind of tools and accessories that I use and that I plan to purchase. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please like it, comment below and subscribe to the channel. We do reviews on watches, videos like this and podcasts. We try to upload weekly, we're working on that. And thanks.